Hi, this is Real Cinema Therapy coming at you with another video. Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 9, titled How the Story Ends, was exciting but also gut-wrenching. In the teen timeline, we see the group divided on returning to civilization. Those that want to leave plot how they can escape. Jen, Mari, and Akila talk about not wanting to be there another minute. Travis lures Lottie to a pit containing spikes, and hoping she falls in and dies. Misty finds the satellite phone Van hid and will attempt to fix it using parts from the plane transformer, and Natalie gives Hannah a knife to cut her and Cody's rope ties so they can all escape in the middle of the night. The only thing really standing in their way is Shauna. We witness Shauna wielding her power over the others, particularly over Melissa. In the present timeline, this power play was reenacted during last week's episode when a fight broke out between Melissa and Shauna. This episode picks up on that storyline, but the most disturbing scene occurs between Van and Melissa, but we'll get more into that later in this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll receive notifications when my next video drops. Now, let's get into it. The episode starts with present-day Van in the hospital. She hallucinates a teen Van talking to her about going on a quest in search for treasure just like in the Goonies movie. Then Ty appears and tells Van they must leave the hospital. We see them in a car with Misty driving to find Shauna at Alex's house. The scene changes to Shauna on top of Melissa, forcing her to eat her own skin. Melissa starts to chew it and spits it in Shauna's face. She escapes and drives away, leaving Shauna at her house. Melissa's car runs out of gas. Misty spots her in the road, and they chase her down and put her in their car. Melissa explains that Shauna bit her and wants to kill her, but they want to bring Melissa back with them to face Shauna. Now, a couple of things bother me about this scene. How could Misty recognize Melissa? It's been 25 years. Also, they thought Melissa was dead, so it wasn't believable to me. Second, the group was eager to bring Melissa back to Shauna to maybe finish the job. Why again do they continue helping Shauna and be so quick to condemn Melissa? I think it's because they have a trauma bond with each other. It developed in the wilderness and has stayed with them all these years. They all have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, so they trigger the trauma in each other by regressing to their former selves and reenacting what they experienced in the wilderness. Being hypervigilant and distrustful is their way of coping with their surroundings. This will become more apparent as the episode continues. They bring Melissa back, and they all talk. Melissa is tied up while they decide what to do with her. Melissa calls out they're giving in to Shauna. Only Misty said she isn't going to clean up another one of Shauna's messes before she leaves. In the teen timeline, we see Travis wanting to go home. He lures Lottie to a pit with spikes, hoping she falls in and dies. Lottie walks on the pit and survives. We're left wondering if there is any truth to the wilderness choosing, and is Lottie being protected by some unseen force? We see Shauna and Melissa fight. Shauna doesn't trust Hannah and tells Melissa she is being manipulated. Melissa defends Hannah, and she and Shauna fight. Melissa leaves the hut, and Shauna yells at her in front of everyone. "You're nothing, and nobody cared about you until I did." Melissa tells Shauna that she is crazy. Shauna pulls her rifle on Melissa and shoots, just missing Melissa, but nicking her shirt sleeve, causing Melissa to shake and wet herself. Shauna smirks and walks away. Shauna's cruelty is punishment for Melissa not listening to her and wanting to bond with Hannah. Shauna was jealous, but also felt threatened by Hannah's influence on Melissa. Natalie gives Hannah a knife to help her escape with Cody. They plan to make their move during the night. Hannah cuts through Cody's and her own binds as they make a run for it. Shauna catches them and raises her rifle. She demands to know who gave them the knife. Hannah, unwilling to reveal Natalie's involvement, lies and said it was Cody. In a desperate attempt to gain Shauna's respect, Hannah stabs Cody in the eye. She then hands the knife to Shauna and said, "I want to be a part of this." Hannah knows Shauna wouldn't think twice about killing her, so she needed to gain Shauna's respect and possibly form an alliance with her. Now, I understand Hannah wanting to kill Cody, but actually doing it is a different story. Also, she seemed to do it with such ease. I wonder if she has done this before. Leave your comments below if you think Hannah has murdered before. We see Natalie visibly upset when she hears that Shauna is onto them. She starts crying as the first snow drops, knowing they will face another winter there. It was a heartfelt scene. I felt sorry for her. Natalie was broken. She felt defeated, and those feelings stayed with her throughout her life. Now, many people think Shauna is paranoid in the past and present timelines. But is she? She suspected the others were plotting against her, and it turns out she was right. They were all going to escape into the night. In the present timeline, she said someone tampered with the brakes on her car, left a cell phone playing the Queen of Hearts, and locked her in a freezer. Misty admitted to the freezer part. Maybe Shauna is right. Maybe someone is trying to kill her. Maybe Melissa is the one doing it? We will see more evidence to distrust Melissa as the episode goes on. We switch back to the present timeline. Jeff and Callie are seen bonding over their distaste for Shauna. Callie has been seen talking to Jeff about how Shauna is a bad person and has done terrible things. Why is Callie doing this? Does Callie think she is bad too? If she killed Lottie, Callie wants to take the attention off herself by putting it entirely on Shauna. I believe Callie is responsible for Lottie's death. There are several possible explanations for this. If Callie has Melissa's note, it may contain information about Lottie leading Callie to confront her in a fit of anger. Lottie tells Callie she needs to be sacrificed because it's what the wilderness wants, and Callie kills Lottie in self-defense. Remember, Lottie gave Callie Jackie's necklace. Or Lottie wanted to sacrifice herself and wanted Callie to witness it is another possibility. Walter said Shauna's DNA was under Lottie's nails. Since Shauna had an alibi that day, it seems Callie could have killed Lottie. Leave a comment below if you think Callie killed Lottie. Now Shauna has become intolerable in both timelines. She is hateful. How can she be redeemed? I think when she finds out that Callie killed Lottie, she will say she did it. She feels responsible for the way Callie turned out. She also is still harboring traumatic grief for the baby she lost. By sacrificing herself, she is redeeming herself. Is she doing what the wilderness wants? Is it the ultimate sacrifice? The wilderness sacrifice theme continues. Van comes back into the house and finds that Melissa closed the fireplace flue to kill all of them with the toxic fumes. Van opens the flue and drags Ty and Shauna outside for fresh air. We see Ty struggling with her dark side before Van can revive her. Good Ty wins, and she is back. Van goes into the kitchen where Melissa is attempting to crawl outside. Van said she has cancer and wants to kill Melissa so she could live. She cuts the ropes that tied Melissa's hands. Melissa rationally tells Van she doesn't believe in that wilderness stuff and that she is too good of a person for this. Van agreed and said, "I can't do it." Melissa shockingly grabs the knife and stabs Van, saying, "I can. Isn't this what the wilderness wants?" Now Van's death was shocking. I knew she would die, but not in this way. Sadly, it's upsetting to see her go out like that. Van was a good person and most definitely the nicest of all the survivors. Melissa fooled everyone. She appeared to have moved on with her life and said she didn't want any part of this, but it was a lie. She still believed in the wilderness when killing was the only way to survive. It was proof that trauma is still controlling her. We see Van on the plane with her younger self, symbolizing her dying, taking the plane to the hereafter. Van said, "That's it? I died? Is this how my story ends after everything?" Young Van says it's not about surviving, it was about the treasure. Ty was the treasure and Van saved her. Van wasn't too happy with that explanation, but young Van said there is more to happen, and she will watch it unfold. So a shared trauma bond is what keeps the Yellowjackets glued to each other. Check out my video here analyzing how trauma affected Shauna's ability to cope in the real world. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, soon.